Hello and welcome back to Infirmitatea elipselor. I'm Sophie Bennett and as always, I'm joined by Arjun Mehta. Today we're diving into the paradoxes of Gimish Dorin Nicolai's poem, Infirmitatea elipselor.
Hi Sophie. Hi everyone. I have to say, this poem is such a fascinating blend of geometry and philosophy. The title alone, Infirmitatea elipselor. It's like right away, you get this sense of fragility, of something that's supposed to be perfect but isn't.
Exactly. The ellipse, in geometry, is this symbol of order and repetition, but Gimish uses it to show how reality is actually, kind of brittle. The poem starts with Madwar infirmitatea elipselor. I'm hurt by the infirmity of ellipses. It's such a striking way to talk about the limits of what we can know, don't you think?
Absolutely. And then there's that line, Sia mai dreapta linie e un cerc. The straightest line is a circle. It's almost like he's poking fun at the old Euclidean rules, right? Turning the idea of a straight line into something cyclical, infinite. It's a paradox, but it's also a way of saying maybe what we see as direct or true is actually just looping back on itself.
Yeah, and it's so clever. I remember, actually, when I was at university, I used this poem to explain geometric paradoxes to my friends in the maths department. They were all about proofs and axioms, and I'd be like, but what if the straightest line is a circle? I mean, it drove them a bit mad, but it also made them think about how perception and reality aren't always the same thing. I think that's what Gimish is getting at. The duality between what we think we know and what's actually there.
That's a great story, Sophie. And it's true. The poem really undermines the idea that geometry, or any science really, can fully capture existence. There's always something slipping through the cracks, something that doesn't fit the formula.
Right, and that tension between the abstract and the emotional, it's everywhere in his language. He uses these technical terms, ellipses, gravity, but there's this undercurrent of pain, of longing. It's not just about shapes, it's about being human.
So let's talk about the center of the self, the central euluit. The poem keeps circling back to this idea. Are we the center of the universe, or are we just, floating around, pulled by forces we can't control?
Yeah, and I love how Gimish plays with that. There's this sense that the self is searching for its own centre, but it's never quite stable. It's like, are we active participants or just, passengers?
It reminds me of the Mahabharata, actually. There's this moment with Arjuna, no relation by the way, where he's trying to figure out his place in the universe. Is he the center of his own destiny, or is he just following a path set by something bigger? The ambiguity in Gimish's poem feels a lot like that. The center is always shifting, always a bit uncertain.
That's such a good parallel. And then there's the bit about gravity, legea gravitatii doar operere despre lume. The law of gravity is just an opinion about the world. It's almost cheeky, isn't it? Like, what if even the laws of physics are just stories we tell ourselves?
Yeah, it's a kind of relativism. The poem suggests that scientific truths aren't absolute. They're, provisional. They're ways of making sense of things, but they're not the final word. I think Gimish is saying, don't get too comfortable with your certainties.
And that's so relevant now with all the debates about what's true, what's real. The poem's almost warning us. Reality is more complicated than any system, any law. It's a bit unsettling, but also kind of freeing.
Definitely. It's like the universe isn't a closed system with fixed rules. It's open, ambiguous. And maybe that's where poetry comes in to help us live with that uncertainty.
So if we zoom out a bit, Gimish isn't just doing this in one poem. His whole body of work is like a conversation between science and poetry. You see it in Despre un triunghi, about a triangle, and Canticul Pietrae, the Song of the Stone. Both of those poems take these hard scientific images and turn them into something fragile, mysterious.
Yeah, in Despre un triunghi, the triangle isn't just a shape. It's almost a metaphor for loneliness or longing. And in Canticul Pietrae, the stone becomes a word, something that burns in your hand. There's this sense that matter itself is full of secrets, that the world is always more than it seems.
And Gimish is definitely in dialogue with other writers. I mean, you can see echoes of Ion Barbu with his mathematical poetry, or even Goethe's idea of unity and opposites. There's a bit of T.S. Eliot's skepticism, Borges's fascination with infinity, and, oh, I always forget this one, Octavio Paz with his cosmic poetry. But Gimish makes it his own, with this very Romanian, very personal twist.
That's right. He's not just copying those traditions, he's building a kind of poetic cosmology where geometry and physics become tools for exploring what it means to be human. It's both local and universal, if that makes sense. Like, the ellipse isn't just a Romanian symbol, but Gimish gives it a new center of gravity, a new meaning.
And I think that's what makes his work so powerful. He takes these big, abstract ideas and grounds them in real, sensory experience, pain, touch, longing. It's a philosophy you can feel, not just think about.
Yeah, and maybe that's the real message. Literature isn't about finding the perfect system or the ultimate truth. It's about living with the questions, the paradoxes, the things that don't quite fit. That's what makes Gimish's poetry so, alive.
I couldn't agree more, and I think that's a good place to wrap up for today. Next time we'll keep exploring how poetry and science collide in unexpected ways. Arjun, thanks for another brilliant conversation.
Thank you, Sophie. Always a pleasure, and thanks to everyone listening. See you next time on Infirmitatea elipselor.
Bye, everyone.